Marvel has a bit of a predicament right now about what are they going to do next with Black Panther. Because it sounds like we're getting different reports, but it sounds like it they didn't know Chadwick was as bad in such bad health as he was at the time when we all found out. So, and they did have a Black Panther 2 script being written by Ryan Coogler. So the question is, what do they do next with Black Panther, aka T'Challa?
Yeah.
So I guess first we'll just talk about what we'd want to have happen, and then we'll go through some of the scenarios that we think will happen.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. For me, the answer is simple. You have Black Panther, aka T'Challa, means so much to people. Like we saw, did you see those pictures online of these kids who were having like with their action figures like Black Panther funerals?
Yeah. I've seen a little of that.
And I think we need to make something clear. Chadwick Boseman was not really Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther is a drawing in a comic book. He just wore the costume and said the lines, brought the character to life, did a great job. I think the way to honor Chadwick Boseman is to have a new actor take the torch of T'Challa and move it forward. And either in the MCU or if they want to pull the Batman set outside the MCU,
Mm-hmm.
I think throwing the character away of T'Challa would be such horrible disrespect to Chadwick Boseman, especially knowing all he did to bring that character to life.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go too much into this because I try to keep out of the MCU right now. It's like an ex-wife or something. Wish the best for you, but we're done. I'll just say this. Some people believe that having someone else take over the role of T'Challa is disrespectful to Chadwick Boseman. And I completely disagree. But we're on the same page of we want Chadwick Boseman respected.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also remind me to say something when I'm done with this.
Okay.
Bring something up. Because there's something cool Marvel's doing right now. Is having a new Superman show disrespectful to Christopher Reeve? Is the Batman disrespectful to Adam West? No. In fact, I'll say this. Pop culture has a shelf life. The Dark Knight, its shelf life has recently come to an end. Shelf life, you really only last about a decade and then you're done. And I hate to say this, some people will try to deny it, but it's true. The shelf life of the MCU, a decade in, is coming to an end. 20 years, kids are not going to watch that Black Panther movie. As much as they should, because it's great, they're not going to, because it's too old. It's already 2 years in, but I mean, the fact that it's connected to a franchise that started 12 years ago, it's like the shelf life is coming to an end. They're not going to watch it. So if you don't, Black Panther will disappear. No one will ever talk about Black Panther again. It'll be a fad from 2018. If you want to say, no, only Chadwick can do it, go ahead. But Black Panther will just be a fad from 2018. And young black kids born in 2025 won't be able to have the experience that kids from 2018 were able to have.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, but you look at DC and also Spider-Man, Hulk. These are characters that go on forever. When you look at every time, like we have the Batman coming out, a whole new generation is going to be introduced to Adam West. If that Tim Burton Batman movie had never happened, no one from our generation would ever have watched that Adam West Batman show because it's too old. Superman Lois is coming. A new generation is going to be introduced to the greatness of Christopher Reeve and George Reeves, and also Tom Welling and Dean Cain, who are still with us. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I guarantee you, there are some little girls who were introduced to Linda Carter after that. Because of the Hulk movies or his appearances in the other Marvel movies, people are being introduced to Bill Bixby 27 years after he died. By reinventing the character, they can go on forever. And also Spider-Man. You know, Infinity War and Civil War are introducing a whole new generation to Tobey Maguire because the shelf life of those are over now.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther can be reintroduced to a new generation, and new generation can have their version, just like we have our Batman. You know, we had Adam West, we had the Burton Schumacher, we had the Dark Knight, Gotham, we had the DCEU. Now we're getting the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
A new generation. Black Panther can be reinvented for a new generation, and you know what? 15 years from now, kids who wouldn't have gone back to see it will be introduced to Chadwick Boseman and make it so that his work goes on forever, like Adam West, like Christopher Reeve, like George Reeves, like Bill Bixby.
Yeah.
But it won't happen if you say it ends with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on it. So we'll get into some of the fan speculation, but what would you want to have happen with Black Panther and T'Challa after this?
Yeah. I mean, to me, my first reaction just with a question like that, like when you first brought it up, is just like, it's tough for it to not feel too soon to even talk about it at all, where it's just it's hard to think about the next Black Panther. But I do think that the character of Black Panther doesn't deserve less than to be treated like the other timeless great superheroes. Like, what are you like? Never ever casting anyone as Black Panther again seems obviously like the wrong choice to me, because I mean, the character is important to people, and it should live on in some way. If it takes a while, like, because I also do think like time should be taken to consider, like, who does take, like, who does, like,
If Ryan Coogler and the rest of the cast need like a break for a while, I can understand that. And I would support that. Like they need like 3 or 4 years of let's just put it for a little while. We need to wait a little, like a few years before we get back. Because I don't even think Black Panther 2 had a release date yet.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't in their Phase 4 announcement. yeah, there wasn't a release date for Black Panther 2 yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's kind of how like there's no rush, and there definitely shouldn't be a rush.
Especially because there's going to be 4 next year.
Yeah, we don't even need to be talking about it right now necessarily, but like big picture, um, it's an important character. So I think I would agree that it's more respectful to keep the character going.
All right, so I went over some of like the fan theories or whatever. I think we could talk about what we think about them, what's the likelihood of them. So the first one is, I think what we both said we will want to have happen is recast. What is the likelihood of it? As much as I think they should, at least in this current MCU, I don't think it will happen. Because the fact that they got rid of, I mean, the fact that they got rid of Captain America and Iron Man just because those actors want to leave, under those circumstances, I don't see them bringing a new actor for Black Panther under these circumstances.
Yeah.
But I did see something that was interesting.
Oh.
And maybe I wouldn't agree with the rationale, but maybe there's something there. I saw this person comment, the difference between those two is that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are still around, where they can come back. Now, I don't think they will, but I mean, we said the same thing about Ben Affleck as Batman. Maybe Marvel's kind of banking on, well, we'll wait a phase and maybe they'll come back. It is possible.
Yeah.
But that because Chadwick's no longer with us, they should give it to someone else. I don't think they will do it. I kind of feel like as much as I want it to happen, I think T'Challa's story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this iteration of the MCU, is done now. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you think they would recast, or is T'Challa
Uh,
done?
I think that was my hunch too, that as far as the MCU goes, I mean, we haven't seen much evidence that they're going to be too into recasting anything. So
They were in the beginning,
obviously,
but
yeah, but not anymore. So especially with circumstances like this, it's hard to. Um, yeah, I think it would be a while um, before they consider that.
all right. So, do you think that now some people are wondering, should they just mention that should Black Panther, the mantle, not be brought up again? Should no one else take up the mantle? And we'll bring up some other characters who could actually be in the suit, but should Black Panther end? Should that be the end of at least the mantle in the MCU? I don't know. I'll just say this: if you're not going to have a new actor take over, if you're not going to have a new actor be handed the torch of T'Challa, then I say, then don't even bother doing it again in the MCU, in the
Hmm.
current Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you're not going to have a new actor play T'Challa, don't even bother doing it. That's kind of my thoughts on it. So what do you think? Do
Hmm.
you think that without Chadwick Boseman, they'll just say the Black Panther, Wakanda? Luckily, we told that in a one-shot story, nominated for Best Picture. Should that be the end of the Wakanda story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Um, mm, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's tough. Like, I guess I think what's probably going because they're I think they're probably going to for a while, continue the story without um Black Panther as part of it. Whether or not that's what they should do, because I mean they have some things slated. So um um I don't that's tough to like it's I do think that, like I said, I don't think that they're going to be recasting that anytime soon, but I really don't know what they'll do with stories pertaining to the Wakanda in general. But
If
it
they're
does
not
seem
going to
weird.
recast, would you want them to just be done with
Yeah.
Wakanda?
Um
Maybe you could have Okoye or someone or Shuri pop up, but in terms of someone in the Black Panther suit, with if they're not going to recast, have that be it.
I mean, I guess honest, like normally if you were to pose a similar question like this, I might say no, you need to go all the way. You need to recast
But
or
if they're not
find
going to
someone.
recast T'Challa,
Um, but I think they maybe should continue it just because they had a lot of good world building, and I don't think that they should end it at all, including with Black Panther. So, like, I guess I'm saying that anything that they continue in this vein will be good, and I think it's needed because, like, I think my work, like, we were just talking about um, how this movie was so important in terms of like feeling like it, t- taking leaps forward in like representation in superhero movies. And if you were to just now that Black Panther isn't a part of it now, it's just all of Wakanda is not going to be explored anymore. Seems like too big of a leap to me. So it feels weird. It would be sort of like you were saying, like with some other things, like if there was a Batman show that stopped having Batman, but they're still going to tell stories in Gotham. Like I can see how that would be weird, but I don't necessarily know that I would want to vouch for getting rid of all of it.
all right. So there have been some ideas for if they want to continue without T'Challa, who could take over the mantle. And there's one that's brought up a lot, and that is Shuri. And I'll say it right away. I think replacing T'Challa with anyone is stupid. Hand the torch to another actor. Story wise, it would make sense because she would be next in line in the throne.
Right.
That being said, the Shuri from the movie, I love Shuri from the movie. Great side character. I can't see that character leading a movie. You would almost have to completely reboot Shuri. Maybe if something happened to T'Challa, that would kind of propel her on her journey to becoming a new character. But
Hmm.
the way the character is in the MC, which I love the way that character is, I can't see her leading a movie the way she's written in the MCU. And also, some people are saying, well, in the comics, Sure, he was Black Panther for a while. Yes. But T'Challa was still around. He just wasn't in the suit. So what do you
I could see it. I could see it being written in a way where that would work. I like that seems like a pretty fun way for the story to go. Like I can see what you mean in terms of the way that it is, but I guess I don't. I don't necessarily have a doubt. Like it would certainly be possible to turn that into more of a lead.
should they do it? Because people will mention from the comics, but that's such a small sliver of a 50-year history. Or do these
Yeah,
circumstances and remember in the comics, T'Challa was still around.
yeah. I kind of wonder because there's like a newer Shuri series, right?
Yeah.
Which I've almost read but haven't. I mean,
Oh,
it,
maybe I'll say this now also. Maybe we'll rearrange this in the editing, okay? But right now, on the Marvel Comics app, they're giving away for free every issue of Black Panther.
oh, wow.
50 years.
Okay.
I got
Well,
them.
I'll have to get on that.
And I think maybe that, I always recommend that. I always think it's important for like kids to get into comics.
Hmm.
But, the only other situation we've had like this is George Reeves, who died while he was still Superman. And, the documentary about Superman talks about, well, you still don't have the flesh and blood guy, but you still have the character in the comics. And maybe there's some kid out there who is really affected by Black Panther who
Hmm.
I hope will take advantage of, hey, there's 50 years of T'Challa out there that you can get. And, in a comic, you can cast whoever you want. You want to have Chadwick Boseman marry Halle Berry? Why not? Because in a comic, you're the director in your head, basically.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think it would be. It's a good way to um, transition people into reading comics. It also makes me think like that's a really good idea to give the 50 years of comics free to like say like, hey, cared about this character, you can dive in. Kind of makes
Hey,
me.
no more excuses of, 50 years, I can't get into it all. But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, they even have the newest one for free too. It
Yeah,
was like 250 some issues.
yeah, they should. It makes me really think like because there are some apps that like are more like integrated with libraries where you can get like ebooks and stuff just for free. Uh, and they don't have enough comics on them. Is what I've noticed, and it kind of makes me think like they really need to do that because like that's one way to, especially to get kids into reading and stuff. It's a good idea. But
Yeah. So, all right. So, there are some other ideas about who could take over the mantle. And boy, did I not want to bring this up. Because I'll just say this: if Marvel does this, then screw Marvel. Screw them. This will be officially jumping the shark. Some people are saying, what if Killmonger became Black Panther? And I say, no, no, no. If Michael B. Jordan had never been in Black Panther and was going to play T'Challa, it'd be different. But Killmonger, the villain, that's like
that's
if
odd.
if if history had happened differently, where Christian Bale had died after The Dark Knight, and Heath Ledger was going to be in the suit the next movie. No, 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 no. If Marvel does that, then screw Marvel. But as much as I'm not a fan of the current direction they're headed in the movies, I think they have enough common sense not to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they did. That seems like such a weird idea. Truly. I would never have had that thought, or definitely certainly would never make that choice if it were up to me. So,
All right. Now here's the last one. This is one that would actually get me a little excited. One to make me think, oh, well, you could do this. Maybe the answer isn't going forward. Maybe it's going backward. What if they did a time period piece about T'Challa's dad, T'Chaka, when he was Black Panther? Now, I mean, again, it's floating timeline, but in the comics, there are stories about during World War II, Captain America went to Wakanda. And again, it'd be like, again, we're letting the actors control the story, but maybe under these circumstances, you convince Chris Evans to make an appearance.
That's pretty cool.
T'Chaka, plus it would buy them some time to figure out what are they going to do in the future. This is like the one exception I would have, because it doesn't affect what happens to T'Challa's story. Maybe you have baby T'Challa or something. Maybe he just walks. Maybe baby T'Challa goes into his dad's closet and puts on the mask. And he's like, T'Challa, not yet. 2008, 2016.
Yeah.
What about that?
That's a good idea.
I mean, I just think it works so many ways where it buys us some time, because then you don't have to worry about what you're going to do with T'Challa for another 3 years or 4 years or whatever. And you could have if you said during World War II, Captain America can make an appearance if you beg Chris Evans or be smart and recast. But, I mean, that's the one. What would you think about that? That to me that's the one option. If you want to buy some time, if you want to have someone else do the mantle, go back. Have the T'Chaka.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea, like, for sure. And it definitely would be a way to sort of feel like you're delving into that specific character, like his version of, like, you don't get to have Chadwick Boseman in it, unfortunately, but you sort of get to pay homage by deepening the lore of that character. So that would be good to see, and it would still feel within the MCU or something.
All right.
I'm downloading all of the Black Panther comics right now.
So. Did you make an account?
I already had one, but I didn't remember my password.
Be forewarned. I had to, after a while, I had to delete some because of the space, but they'll all be in the cloud. It will take a while for you to get through all of them. They also have his first appearance in Fantastic Four as well.
Oh, really?
All right. You know what? I was reading Fantastic Four, his first appearance. Man, it is surprising how much of the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, those first appearances, how much still stuck with the character. Because they talk about him inheriting the mantle. They have Claw in there from the first movie. It's just, it is really amazing how much from that first two appearances stuck with the character. Versus like in Batman, there was Gordon, and that's pretty much all that stuck from the first issue.
Yeah.
And like Spider-Man's origin, it's pretty much exactly the same as you have in like the movies, and so much of it just stuck around.
Yeah.
All right. Now here's something that I think needs to be asked. How does this affect the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward? Versus, does this show maybe, is this another sign that, maybe after all these years, is it time to think about closing it out? I'll just say this.
Mhm.
We knew, look, the MCU was going to have some trouble after Endgame because they lost their two biggest characters. Then you have it where, I mean, this MCU version of Spider-Man has not been a hit with the audience, at least in the solo movies. People did not like Thor in Endgame. Hulk just sucks now. Let's say it. Green Mark Ruffalo, who cares? Remember a year ago when they did their Phase 4 announcement and no one was really excited? It was just, eh.
Yeah.
Now they have to deal with bringing in the X-Men, which is a big continuity thing.
Yeah.
How do you introduce mutants? And now you're getting to it to where this continuity's been around for 12 years, over 20 movies. Now they're getting into TV, which, you know, it's going to be impossible for like a new person to jump in soon if you're adding TV
Mhm.
into it as well. And now we lost Black Panther, who for a lot of people was the future.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was, besides like X-Men and Fantastic Four, which is a while away, the future was Spider-Man and Black Panther. A lot of people don't like MCU Spider-Man. Black Panther's kind of gone. I think it really is time to think, you know what, guys? Maybe it's time to call it a day. Maybe Phase 4 will have Avengers 5 be the actual finale.
Yeah.
Do you think this affects it at all? Because I think there's got to be part of you saying, well, maybe it is time to bring it to a close.
I mean,
What do
I
you think?
definitely think it's. I definitely think it's a factor that could maybe push them towards that decision. Not necessarily that I think they'd make it, but I don't like. I know I do, and I think a lot of like when obviously people don't like things ending, but it does kind of make people like get on board. Like I think it would get people excited. Start maybe to. I mean, maybe we'd even get better movies. A lot of times, like I don't know, a lot of times, like when things end, it seems like you know, uh, writers kind of get it together and think, okay, what is really good about this? How do we make the finale out of this?
Well, more importantly than having it end is that with the ending, it gives you a new beginning to start over.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, not that it would end forever, certainly, but I think that I don't think that the you know the cycle of like having uh movie after movie in this universe building up to a big ending or a big climactic thing and then winding down and then starting over, but it's all kind of part of the same thing. I think that there's going to be diminishing return on how excited people are. Like people are not going to be as excited for the next
People are excited for the
Infinity War.
Batman, though.
Yeah, I guess. Uh, but I mean, like for the next like equivalent of the next Infinity War or something. Like if we're building up
Well,
to.
if you reboot, you're not building to the next Infinity War. You're building to the next first Avengers.
Oh yeah, no, I'm making the argument. Uh, I'm making the same argument as you that if they continue what they're doing,
Oh,
which is what they were doing is keeping it the same, not starting over, but just building up to like the next climactic movie, which in the last case was Infinity War. In this second saga, I don't think people would be as excited getting to that as they were about Infinity War. Rather, I think starting completely over and then building up to a first Avengers kind of thing would get people more excited.
and then you'd have it where like X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, they're all there from the beginning. It wouldn't feel like, for a long time, the MCU basically felt like the Avengers universe versus
Yeah.
if they were to restart now, it would feel like a actual Marvel universe.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Help with continuity, certainly, too. So,
yeah. So what would you think is the perfect what is if you had to make a decision of what you think would make the fans the most happy? What is your perfect scenario for what could happen moving forward? Because I have an idea. Is the only thing I think that would make people happy.
oh,
At
really?
first they'd be unhappy, but then it's the one way. It's my one guess.
Well,
And
I don't have that kind of key or insight, I don't think. I don't know how to make I don't know how to make these people happy.
well,
Um,
luckily that's not our jobs.
yeah, I don't make anyone happy.
I suppose not. That's why we have so many 1 stars. I mean, listen to Paul. He is so unhappy all the time.
Yeah, he frequently tells me that he's my least favorite. That I'm his least favorite. Although he might say the same to you. He really likes to get
Yes.
under people's skin.
I mean, there was a pilot that they did of this show before they hired us, and he
Hmm.
constantly says, "Oh my God, Jeremy and Josh were so good in comment
Yeah,
section. It could have been comment section with J&J, but no,
yeah,
we went with you because they asked too much, and we're
yeah.
stuck."
Hmm. I
Jeremy and
think
Josh, the legends, to
he
Paul.
reminds us a lot that the reason why we're so underpaid, which is one penny the whole time, is
Yes,
because it's equivalent to our talent, and if anything, it's
yes,
more than our talent is worth.
yes.
So yeah,
Paul
so he
constantly
reminds us of
threatens to
that
take the
frequently.
penny.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Here is my here's what I would here is the one thing I think could make people happy. At first they'd be unhappy, but then here's where I would go with it.
yeah.
All right. Phase 4. We end with Avengers 5. Avengers 5 is it. It is the finale of the MCU. You go all out. You beg Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. to come back. Do Secret Wars. That way you can have Fox's X-Men, Hugh Jackman, and all of them make cameos. Maybe you can have actors in Spider-Man suit and Jake Johnson and the guy who played Miles from Spider-Verse voice them as well. Avengers Secret Wars is the end. And as a little tribute, because he's not here anymore, with you discuss it with Chadwick Boseman's family. First, you get their approval
Yeah.
before the final fight or somewhere. You have, just like it would have been in an actual fight scene, you have a stunt actor in the Black Panther suit lead Wakanda to whatever the climactic battle of the MCU is. And then with archival recording, we hear Chadwick Boseman proclaim one last time Wakanda forever. And that's the end.
I mean, that's a great pitch. So
That is what
that would make people really happy, definitely. So,
yes, that's like the only thing I think, if it's the only thing I could think working right now, and then we reboot later.
hmm. Yeah.
All right. And they did a similar thing with Stan Lee and Captain Marvel where he was it was hard to understand him in the Captain Marvel cameo, so they used old recording for his cameo, meaning reading the Mallrats script.
Yeah.
So yeah. So all right, well I guess we'll ask this for the last thing. What do you think will happen with that Black Panther 2 script if it's not made into a movie? Do you think
Yeah.
if they Don't make that into a movie. If you're not going to, I say turn it into a comic.
Yeah, that was what just came to my mind when you mentioned the script. I was like, if it's good, it would make a good comic.